people about their memories about the old Pavilion Theatre, the Ritz and the Pavilion as it is now.
Well, in the case of the very first pavilion that was built and finished in 1908, and that's 100 years ago, land was reclaimed from the sea to build the pavilion on. And all the filling came from Portland, from the Portland quarries. And thousands of tons of stone were tipped in where you can see the new pavilion now, not the car park, where you can see the new pavilion. And they reclaimed land from the sea to build the new pavilion. And it was later known as the Ritz Theatre.
And the entrance was down the side there. That's where all the stars used to go in down there, not in the front door.
Right.
Oh, there's a lovely statue in the middle of it. Anybody tell you that? A statue of, I don't know what it was, like a stone in the middle of the two palm trees. It was lovely, well kept, used to look after it. And of course, when there was any do's, the lovely cars would draw right round it, you know, and ladies to get out with all the finery on and that. And of course, down the back, as I say, the machines down there, I don't know if too many people remember that.
No.
In the ocean room, that was all machines. Where you put a penny in, you know, and used to go down there when people put 2 or 3 pence in, they'd leave it. You put a penny in and get tuppence out. And it's quite good, you'd make quite a lot of money actually.
I was only your age probably, and you couldn't go on my own. You wouldn't have allowed to go on alone. And it was up to my aunts and uncles, mother and father, when they decided to take us. Persuasion was a very good thing in those days, but I mean, I couldn't give you I'd say how often, perhaps once a month or something like that.
Yeah.
You'll be talking about the old theatre.
That's right, oh yeah.
The old Ritz.
The old plush, red plush.
Yes, was it very nice inside?
Oh, beautifully Victorian.
Was it?
Absolutely. Thick carpet. You sink down about that much when you walk. Of course, all the decorations up round by the way upstairs.
Yeah.
It all beautifully carved and one thing and another, and gas jet lights. Fire hazards galore.
Is that my mother and father used to like going to shows a lot. In fact, they knew some of the stars. And so they'd take me along as well, and we'd go quite often. And of course the Ritz was the main theatre then. And we did go quite often. It was a very ornate theatre as well. I remember the inside saying it. It's rather like the Victorian theatres, and that's not surprising since it was built at the end of the Victorian era, where you have a gallery around the back upstairs, and then you carry on down the side in boxes, as they were called. These are little alcoves where you get 4, 6, 8 people in, and they have 3 of those on each side. I remember this very well, I do. And down to the stage, and the best box of all, the most expensive one, was the one where you're just right above the stage on each side. And I remember those, they were in gold and red, and they were curved. Each one was curved. So I remember what it looked like inside.
I did go inside the Ritz, but I didn't remember it until today when I saw the photographs and little snippets of it. Yes, I can remember some little bits of it. I remember the red drapes, the heavy curtains. It was very nice seeing the photographs, and I remember the outside of it much more.
Fantastic scene of devastation. It is estimated yesterday's disastrous fire at the Ritz Theatre, Weymouth, caused damage in the region of £80,000.
When I was working in the old iron infirmary in Weymouth, which was situated near Green Hill Gardens, and from the windows it was possible to see right across the bay to the Ritz. And I was working in the front of the building, in the old sterilising room, happened to look out of the window, and there was flames and smoke going up from the Ritz. It was an amazing sight. I've never seen anything like it. Never want to see anything like it again either.
I did see the Ritz burn down. I was at the Nove Gardens, and the first thing was the smell, because it was wooden and you could smell the paint and the wood in the smoke. And then we looked across to the other side of the harbour and we could see the black smoke beginning to rise, and it just got more and more and more black smoke rose up. And then we sat on the bank on the Nerys Gardens overlooking the harbour and the Ritz and just watched it burn. It was very sad to see it burning down, actually. Even at 9 years old, we knew that it was quite sad to see something like that happening. I was with two friends, a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And we used to spend a lot of time at the Nerys Gardens because I lived right near the harbour side in Cove Street. So I was very lucky. The Nerys Gardens were where I played because we didn't have a garden. So I was with friends. I think it was about Easter time, if I'm correct.
I can always remember the outside, and I certainly was there the day it burnt down. We were the other side of Weymouth, where the golf course is, where Weymouth golf course is. We were over there. We could see lots and lots of smoke. So we ran and ran and ran as fast as we could. And it had nearly burnt to the ground, nearly gone down flat. By the time we got there, it was that quick, because it was all made of wood, you see. They say that they were painting it at the time, and a decorator, a painter, had a flame, a blow lamp, burning the paint off. And he went to have his lunch, and there was some smouldering in behind the wood. That's what they say.
There was repairs needed to the roof.
That's like they're working up there.
And the chappie that was engaged to do the job was Mr. Long, who had a builder's and decorator's business, lived at the Grove Road in Easton. And one of his workmen, removing the slates or whatever, caught fire to one of the purlins with a blow lamp and immediately took charge. And I take it that the height they were with the wind, it carried it straight across the roof and it was out of control. And it was burnt right down to the ground. Now, I happened to be in Weymouth when it was burning. I'd been to school, I think, or something or other. Everybody was still watching it.
My brother were up at Dorchester Road by Redlands for some reason. I don't know what we were doing there, and we saw the fire engine come belting down from Dorchester, and we saw the smoke down by the seafront. So we wandered on down there and saw what was going on, and actually saw the fire. Obviously, we couldn't get very close because the police were taking everybody away. But and ended up my dad, who was a fireman, was actually one of the firemen there, trying to put it out. With very limited equipment in those days, not like they've got now. No big tall turntable ladders now in those days. So they could pump the water out of the harbour, which mean they didn't have to carry water in the fire engine itself, so they could pump it out from the harbour, which was quite good. But it still didn't save the poor old Ritz, and it really burnt to the ground, including some musicians' instruments.
I just seem to remember, hearing about it. The Ritz. That's a big theatre, and I've remembered that very well. I remember hearing it over sort of the cackly radio. I remember going and seeing it, and I remember reading it in the local newspaper. So I remember afterwards, because I thought this is an important occasion. But I did go the next day when it was still smoking, but not on fire as such. Yes, and it was a bit of a shell. There wasn't much left actually. A few struts sticking up.
It was sad because it was a part of Weymouth that everybody loved. The old Ritz Theatre.
1960, 1961, the new pavilion opened.
Well, when this new pavilion opened, as it is now, there were a act on, Eric Sykes they called him. He's still living, he's 96 I think. And he was messing about, he was a comedian, and he set fire to the curtains. And that curtain, for months after, there was a round hole where but I'm not sure if he was using one of these old flashes for photographs.
It could have been. But
and he set fire to the curtain, I remember that.
Well, I can remember people like Anne Sheldon, who was a singer, because she was my favourite, my parents' favourite rather. My mother and father actually loved going and listening to her. Tommy Cooper used to come on stage. And actually, in fact, Bruce Forsyth did one of his first shows there.
We did go dancing, yes. We met there, didn't we, Graham?
Sure did.
Yes, yeah. That's the first time we met, was at dancing. And we used to go to a lot of the dances there. And we both worked then at AUWE on Portland, and they would have their dinner dances at the Pavilion once or twice a year. And there were many famous band leaders in those days that came, because in those days the bands were big bands. Today you wouldn't be able to afford to have a big band there probably all through the summer season. And the first time they opened the Ocean Rooms, my friend and I, we went dancing, and I think it was Cyril Stapleton and his band, and he performed that night for the opening night, and then he stayed on for the season, I think. And the two dancers that gave a demonstration were Harry Smith Hampshire and his partner Doreen.
Well, I remember it as being very exciting because I was lucky enough to have a very nice partner who danced very well, and that's quite important because you can't, in those days when I was doing it, you didn't get up and dance on your own, you had to have a partner. And I used to dress up in nice long dresses and try and make myself look as pretty as possible. And we used to get there in a taxi and go in, and the music would be playing already, and the lights were nice and soft all round, you know, and there were tables that you could sit at, and you took your seat at the table, and then when your partner asked you to dance, you could get up and glide around the floor, and it was really very nice indeed. I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was a band, always a band. At the Pavilion. I'd never been to a disco at the Pavilion. I've been to discos other places, but at the Pavilion you always had a nice band.
You do, really. The stage is ideal and the acoustics are very good. And I've seen lots of proper professional bands in the Pavilion. The great Sid Lawrence Orchestra and Buddy Rich and Ted Heath and all the big bands. I played at the Weymouth Pavilion lots of times, both in the pit, which is the bit in front of the stage where all the musicians go for musicals and stuff, and I played on the stage, and I played in the Pavilion ballroom lots of times.
See, I was a teenager in the 1960s, and at those times we used to have, it was the start of all the pop groups, so the things that you hear all the time now, like the Beatles and Cliff Richard and things like that, they're actually started when I was starting to dance. And we didn't have discos like you do now. We had live bands who came down from London and all different parts of the country, and they used to come to Weymouth Ocean Ballroom and they used to play for us to dance to. So yeah, it was great fun. I used to have a best friend called Jill, and her and I used to meet up every week to go and walk to the Pavilion together. And then when we got there, there was another say 5 or 6 people who we used to meet there, but actually mostly we didn't dance with our friends. Jill and I danced together, but in those days Portland was a naval base, and the Navy used to come in their ships, and they used to come in and we used to dance with the Navy boys, so we didn't know them. But I was certainly dancing at the Pavilion when I was 21, because I can remember meeting the man who I later married.
Special memories probably is they used to have they started in about the 1980s probably, roller discos for young children, your age probably upwards. And my youngest daughter couldn't roller skate, so she got me to come down with her. She was 14, and for a couple of nights we went buzzing around to pop music, which was quite exciting. And then my son, who was 6 years older than our youngest daughter, he with a friend couldn't skate and wanted mother to take them roller skating. So I had these 2 big lads, both over 6 foot, who were then probably 20, with me in the middle holding them up. And the skating was in the the Ocean Room?
I was here with a group of unemployed people during the year 1992, and we formed a theatre company here, and we put on 3 shows in about a year and a half. We wrote them all ourselves, we devised them, we created costumes, we built sets, and they all had standing ovations, which was great for us.
Hi, my name is Michael Yandix and I'm a professional wrestler. Ever since I was about 14, a legend of the British wrestling business, Robbie Brookside's called me the Dorset Giant. We can't hold it in the theatre due to it's a bit small space and the ring would probably damage the stage. So we hold all of our wrestling shows in the Ocean Room. That can be a bit of a problem due to the fact that the roof is a little bit low and some of our moves are cut off by the fact that we can't jump. But the Ocean Room has to be one of the most memorable ones I've been to.
In what sense then is it memorable?
Sentimental in some ways due to the fact that it's my hometown, it's my home venue, it's when I go there everyone's sort of like cheering my name due to the fact that they know me, not because I'm a good guy, it's because they know me.
And it started off when my oldest was about 3, and she danced the Pavilion with Tanya Lonergan's dance company. And my children have been dancing throughout their life for quite a few years now. She's now 20. She's also been in the talent shows Wednesday Night Live, which they've held in the Ocean Room. So I've got a great affection for the Pavilion, and this year, hopefully for the first time, I'm going to be tap dancing at the Pavilion, so I'm really excited about this. So I've had some really fond memories. I've been to a few of the pantomimes and really enjoyed that, and some musicals and various things that have happened here. I think it's a brilliant place, and I hope the new building will be just as good as the old one has been for me.
Just a few more, just another minute's worth on a mic, please.
I need some monitors, please. I don't can't have too much because I might.
Go walking down this lane, anyone else but me, anyone else but me, anyone else but me. No, no, no. Go walking down this lane, anyone else but me, till I come marching home. I heard word from the girl who heard from the girl next door to me, till I come marching home.
Thank you. Could you hear her? Was that better?
It's hard to remember the past.